Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Archer's Garage and Whatnot. Today we are back in the garage and we're doing a little bit of woodworking. Christmas is just a couple days away, and my wife wanted me to build something for our neighbor. They're actually really good friends of ours, and they do all kinds of things for us. And we just want to do a little bit of something special. You know, we don't, for friends like this, we don't like to buy something. We like to build something or bake them or do something, just because, I don't know, you put your personal touch on it. So anyway, she wanted to have me build a ladder, blanket ladder for her. I've built her a couple things before, and she really enjoys that type of stuff. So I built one of these for another friend of ours, and she seemed to enjoy it. So anyway, we're going to build one for her today. And this is something anybody can do. They're very simple, but they're very cool. And I would say anybody could do it for Christmas, although this video is right before Christmas, so maybe you can do it for next Christmas. Anyway, let's get started on this. Simple project. Anybody can do it. No sense going out and spending a bunch of money. Let me show you how it's done. Alright, so the wood that we're using, 1x4. We're actually using poplar today. You don't have to. I wanted to use it because we've built a couple pieces of furniture for this friend of ours recently, and we use the same wood, and we wanted to keep everything matching. So, but you could use pine, you can use whatever you want. So anyway, 1x4. Typically, the plans that we found online calls for 17-inch rungs. My wife wanted me to build them 19 inches this time. I guess my neighbor's got some bigger blankets, so we want to do 19 inches. Using a Craig jig, put pocket screws in. I highly recommend, if you're doing any woodworking, to get one of these. They have the cheaper model if you want that, which I use for a long time. I just got this one here this year. Makes it very, very nice. But you can do it with the cheaper model. But what I found with doing these, here, let me turn you guys around for a second. If you don't have a Craig jig, don't get discouraged on projects like this, because what I found with projects like this, you're not holding a ton of weight, you're not using the ladder for climbing, you're not doing stuff like that. You could actually glue this together with a quality glue, and it would be just fine. In my opinion, be just fine. But Craig jig does make it better if you're moving it around, stuff like that. Just makes it a little bit more sturdy. If you don't have it, it's not a game changer. You can still get the job done. So, I've got the Craig jig. I'm going to use it. That's just the tool that I like to use. So anyhow, so we are going to drill the pocket screws, put it together, and literally, guys, you can have this done with the right equipment in about an hour. This is not a difficult thing. The people in your life love it. It's a really cool gift, and we've built, I don't know, 3, maybe 4 of them for people in the past couple of years, and they all really enjoy them. So anyhow, let's get to screwing these pocket holes. Alright, so I'll level with you guys. This is probably the most technical part of the entire build. This is the part that leans against the wall, right? So you're standing this thing up, and it leans against the wall, right? So how do you do that? Be very, very technical. I'm sure there's a way, and I'm sure there's methods that people use to get all kinds of neat measurements and all that stuff. But what I do, I lean this board up against the wall, and I draw a line, and then I put it on my saw and I cut that line. It's as simple as that. So I'm sure there's people smarter than me that do it better than me, but that's how it gets done here, and it gets done well. I mean, it always turns out nice. So you find the angle that you want, you lean it against the wall, draw that line, cut that line. All right, so the next step, this is where measurements really make a difference in your game. It's laying out the rungs. So we start off 8 inches from the bottom. This will be the bottom of your first rung. And then the next one, I want to say it's 19 inches. I may be wrong, but I'll put all the measurements in the description. Anyway, if you're looking up these plans, I find them on it's a site called Her Tool Belt. They are by no means sponsored by me, or I am by no means sponsored by them. They just have good plans. I just like them. And the women in my life love their style. So that's how I build a lot of my stuff. Anyway, so 8 inches from the bottom, you'll take your board, you put it there, and screw it in. Okay. Now, the first one of these I built for my mom, and I tried to do all the math and get them all just right, so when it leans against the wall, they all stand up straight and all that. And let me tell you guys, here, let me turn this around for you. So after doing that one for my mom, getting all those boards just angled just right, man, it's just not worth it. It was a lot of work, and it doesn't hold the blanket any differently. And I guess it looks a little different, but it's not worth the effort, in my opinion. I guess some people are a little bit more of a stickler on that stuff, but to me, it didn't make that much of a difference to make it worth the effort. So I just put them straight in line now, and it looks fine. It looks really good. If my wife says it looks good, it's good. My wife's a perfectionist, and she's happy with it, so that means I'm happy with it. Anyhow, you could try that, but like I said, it's a lot of extra work, a lot of extra measuring, and you probably hate yourself for it. So anyhow, line them all up. The first one from the bottom, 8 inches at the bottom of the rung, and then you go from there. And like I said, I'll put all the measurements in the description, and you can just go from there. And it is hertoolbelt.com. I find them on, well, I found them. My wife found them on Pinterest, and then she led me to them, so that means I found them there. So I give all my credit to myself through my wife. So anyhow, let me get to screwing these things in, guys. Alright, so there's the first one. So remember, I measure at the bottom of each rung. So it's 8, 19, 30, I believe it's 41, 50, 63, something like that. Again, I'm going to put it in the description. Now, one thing you need to be paying attention to, guys, remember, it leans against the wall that way, right? See how these are? So this one is this side. So just make sure when you put them together, you put them together the right way, so you're not hating yourself later. So anyhow, and you want if you do use your pocket hole drill, you put your pocket holes on the inside so you don't look at these, because your wife is going to be mad at you because she's going to be looking at a bunch of screw holes. So anyhow, so this is going to be the outside face that she's going to be looking at. This ugly side is going to be the inside. So there you go. And I also like to put a little bit of glue on it just for added measure. So there we go. I'll just keep plugging along there, guys. Alright, guys. So here we are. It's about an hour later. My wife came out and she made an executive decision, which is what they do. And so the measurements that I gave you are what the plans call for. So if you're building one per plans, that is what you do. If you're building one for my wife, that is not what you do. So a little bit of history on this one. The reason I went with 1x4, because the plans technically call for 1x3s. I went with 1x4 because our neighbor has a bunch of fluffy blankets. So I didn't want the fluffy blankets to overwhelm this thing and make it look like it's overwhelming. You know, I didn't want to look like a kid's thing with a bunch of blankets sitting on it. So anyhow, so I'm putting all the boards together, and my wife came out. She goes, "Those rungs are going to be too close together. We need to make them further apart because I don't want the fluffy blankets to be too close together." So here we are again, doing it again, and making up different measurements based on my wife's eyeball. And we're going to start with the bottom rung as what the plans call for, and every other rung after that is going to be what my wife's eye called for. So that the fluffy blanket, the possible fluffy blankets call for. And which is why we went 2 inches wider also, because the fluffy blankets would be too fluffy for the thing. So anyhow, don't let your wives deter you. Everything changes, right? The only constant is change. But this is what makes it all fun, right? So if everything was the same, it would get boring. So anyhow, so we're changing up a little bit. I'm still gonna put the original plan specs in the description, but I'm gonna build this one differently to match what my wife had in her mind, and to better suit what my neighbors, probably what her blankets fit, and because you don't want to go in there and look like a piece of junk. You don't want it to look out of place. So makes sense, right? And so anyway, so the bottom rung, the bottom of it is 8 inches from the bottom. The second one up, the bottom rung is going to be 9 3/4 inches from the top of the bottom rung, and then they're going to carry on from there. Going to set the next rung up. The next one's going to be 9 3/4 up from the bottom of that rung. Will be 9 3/4 up from the top of that rung. So anyhow, it'll make sense once you see it. Let's get back to work. All right, guys. There she is in all her glory. See, we got her notches. We're just going to lean against the wall. Now, the plans call for 6 rungs. The way my wife wanted them spaced out, it's only going to allow for 5. But I think it looks good. And again, these are 1x4s. The plans call for 1x3s. But I think with the size of our neighbor's blankets, I think it's going to look just right. So here we go. All right, so there we go. Lulu Bug here wants to say hello.
Hi.
That's my little helper. So anyhow, so Merry Christmas, everybody. Thank you for joining us here on Archer's Garage and whatnot. If you like what you saw here, please hit the like button. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. We do all kinds of stuff to help you out at the house. We do car repairs. Anything basically to empower the common person to do repairs so that they don't have to pay the big guy to do the repairs that would cost them hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. So we want to empower people to do big things with just common hand tools. Sometimes we use air tools and stuff like that, but it's because we have them. But most of the stuff we do, we show you that, yes, you can do these repairs with common hand tools. Just a little bit of initiative, and you can save yourself a bunch of money. You don't have to take it to the big places and possibly get screwed over. I worked for a long time for those places, and I've seen the bad come out in people, and it's disheartening. So anyhow, that's why I started this channel. I want to be able to help people out, and you know, maybe you can build yourself or your loved one a ladder like this for a present of some sort. And like I said, it's easy. If my wife hadn't changed up the plans, I'd have had it done in under an hour. Very, very simple. It's 6 feet tall and 19 inches wide. Doesn't take up a ton of room. Doesn't take a ton of skill. Just takes a little bit of initiative. So, like I said, though, thank you for joining us here on Archer's Garage and whatnot. Merry Christmas, everybody. Have a blessed day.